Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in once again to Queen Ahmadiyyah TV presents More Than Meets the Third Eye. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Click the notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur. You can also follow the Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur fan page, and you can find me on Twitter at DGoddess27. Okay, make sure that you like and share this video. It's very important to like and share the videos. Okay, so today I'm going to be discussing how getting in tune with nature is beneficial for not only your mental but your physical health. Now, last week I talked about mental health, and people who shy away or who are reluctant to go and seek help from a therapist. Maybe because they just feel uncomfortable talking about their problems and issues with someone they don't know. Perhaps because there's a stigma attached to it. That's why many people don't want to go. They may be hesitant because they feel like, they're afraid of what other people are going to say or think. And oftentimes, some people actually feel like you have to have mental health issues, maybe bipolar or schizophrenic. Some people think you have to have those type of issues before you go and seek help from a therapist, but that's not the case. You may be just depressed, going through a grieving process. You may just have things that you need to get off of your chest. You may have been keeping your problems bottled up and you just need someone to talk to. You can go to a therapist for other reasons. It's not just because there's something mentally wrong with you. And I also had a young man on my show who spoke about how he goes to therapy and how beneficial it has been for him. And he just told about some of the things he's experienced and even some of the techniques that his therapist has had him to use to help him get better. If you don't take care of your mental health, then how will you take care of your physical health? You should ask yourself that, because without our mental health being up to par, then we will slack in other areas of life. So it's always very important to make sure you maintain mental health, okay? Because otherwise your physical and your spiritual health will suffer. So with that all being said, let's get ready to get into it, because I have prepared a PowerPoint presentation. Excuse me. I have prepared a PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to be sharing with you just to give you some tips and ideas of things that you can do to improve your mental health. And also just to let you know that these things that you can do, they don't cost you a thing. Now, again, if you feel like you need therapeutic help, I advise you to consider going to see a licensed therapist. I'm not a licensed therapist. Okay, I'm just more so of a spiritual advisor. And so with that all being said, I'm going to give you some things that could help you, but these things can be done for free. For example, getting in tune with nature, there's a variety of things you can do. You can go outside and gaze at the sun. You can sit out in the sun and let your body absorb the sun's rays, which also helps our bodies to produce more vitamin D, which is very beneficial. You can go outside and walk barefoot through the grass on the ground. That's grounding yourself. You can hug the trees, listen to the birds sing. Different things like that are putting us at one with nature. So with that all being said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Everyone, please get the likes up. Please like and share. I want to shout out to everyone tuned into the chat and everyone that's tuned into the Queen. Now, I'm not going to be very interactive with the chat because this is a brief live, but also more importantly and specifically, it's because I want to focus on what I'm talking about. And also, I want you all to focus on what is being said, right? So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to share my screen. Likes up, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Get in tune with nature and improve your mental health. Now, Wide open environments can help improve your five senses and help you become more aware of your surroundings. Interactions with natural environments help you to improve your memory, and also it increases and enhances your attention span. Connecting with nature has positive effects on your health, both mentally and physically. Now, those who suffer stress and anxiety, they have found, and research and studies show this, they found that being near nature makes them feel happier and less depressed. Humanity has had an instinctive connection with nature since the beginning of time. Now, being able to satisfy that need is important to your health and well-being. And as living in areas become more congested, our ability to connect with nature decreases. Many who live in highly congested cities have the poorest qualities of life because their connection to nature is severed. Now, let's talk about that for a second, because, there are people who live out in the country, and those people are often more in tune with nature because they interact more so. There's people who go hunting. There's people who have their own farms. They grow their own food. That is allowing them to interact with nature. Whereas those of us who live in the city, we're more inclined to go to the grocery store. We're busy, working. And, there's much more pollution in the cities because there's more people. These are densely populated areas, right? That's why you have to have an emissions test done on your cars, because emissions, because of things being released from your car, the exhaust and all of that. That's why they have you get emissions testing done. And then you have things like, you have different pollutions or pollutants, basically, from things like these chemical plants. Some people may live near nuclear power plants in cities, in large cities. Those type of things are detrimental not only to your physical health, but your mental health as well. And those things help to sever your connection with nature. Another thing is, many people who live in these big cities, they don't go out and, take walks through the park, take strolls. They don't go out and ground themselves. You won't catch them hugging trees and things like that. More people who live in the country, they're more interactive, usually is the case. They're more interactive with nature, because they're out there with the animals. Some of these people have, horses and things on their farms, right? And so another thing is, a lot of children these days are not interactive with nature. And that's one thing we really need to focus on, because when I was growing up, kids would wake up on Saturday mornings and the first thing we want to do is go outside and play. We'd go outside and play games like tag, hide and seek. We'd have races. We play kickball, just different games that we played, but we were always wanting and being outside and interacting with nature. Now, of course, we didn't realize we were interacting with nature, but that's what we were doing. We were outside enjoying ourselves. We were out in the sun. We would be out playing in the grass, chasing one another, falling down and things like that. But children today, most children are indoors. Their activities and their entertainment and their fun is found inside of the home. They're not interacting with nature most of the time. Now, some children are involved in sports, which allows them to be outside more so. But the reason now that we have a bigger issue with childhood obesity is because most children are not going outside, interacting with nature, thus not getting the proper exercise. They sit in the house and they play video games. They're on the computer, online all day. They're always on their phones, on social media. All of these are activities that most children do and participate in indoors. So you should be, if you're a parent, encouraging your children to go outside, encouraging them, to go play at the park. That's another thing. You don't even see children at the park these days. I used to always see children at the park sliding down slides on the swing sets. Children just are not interacting with nature. And that is not good, because nature has healing processes. Okay. It has, things that rejuvenate our bodies. It helps to boost our immune system and things like that. So it's imperative that we are interacting with nature and not just staying cooped up in the house, not just being in the house and, around all of these electronics, right? Not just sitting on the phone all day. These cell phones, excuse me, these cell phones emit radiation. So it's very important to interact with nature. And so that you have, it raises your levels of vibrations and just different things. Okay. And don't forget to get those likes up. Now, humanity has an instinctive connection with nature since the beginning of time. Being able to satisfy that need is important to your health and well-being. And living in areas that have become more congested, that severs our connection with nature, as I was saying, and also it gives you a poor quality of life. Stress reduction and attention restoration are related. Now, because of the societal problems that we're dealing with in terms of stress, it's imperative for us to focus on positivity and raising our levels of frequency. Now, I've talked to you about this numerous of times. You don't want to focus on negativity. You don't want to be around people who put you in a negative space or place. You don't want to think about the things that you don't want. Now, we often think about things that we're having issues with, problems and whatever. That's just normal. But what you don't want to do is harp on those things. You especially should not be worrying about things that you can't change. It's okay to focus on things that you're having issues with when you're trying to find and focus on a solution. But if you're focusing all of your thoughts and energy on just negativity, then you're going to inadvertently draw more negativity to yourself. It's best to be optimistic rather than pessimistic. See the glass as half full as opposed to seeing it as half empty. Okay, because those things lower your frequency when you just worry and stress yourself out. And stress causes dis-ease, like dis-ease. It literally makes you sick. Some people put you in a negative space because they're in a negative space. Some people are not happy with themselves, and so they don't want you to be happy. Misery truly does love company. There are some people who purposely tick you off, purposely want to get you upset, or take you out of your positivity to lower your vibration. These people will do things like say things that they know trigger you. They know how to push your buttons. These are often people that are very close to you. And that's exactly why they know your triggers. And these people are psychic vampires. They drain you of energy. There are also people who may not be very close to you, but you may have to interact with them and deal with them on a daily basis. For example, a coworker who doesn't really care for you. You may find that person saying rude things or just doing little things to annoy you. That's to bring down your levels of frequency. You may have someone who always comes to you with their own issues, acting as though they need help or advice, and maybe they actually do. But either way, if they're continuously coming to you with their problems and pouring all of that on you, that's negativity. And remember, negativity is contagious, so is positivity. That's why if you're a positive person, you would be better served engaging with positive people, with like-minded people, because energy absolutely is contagious. The energy that one person is giving off, if you stay around that person and you continuously engage them, eventually that negative energy will transfer to you. So we should refrain from being around negative people. Now, we have to interact with negative people sometimes. That's just what it is. Sometimes we have to see them at work. We have to deal with them. It could even be your own boss. But at the end of the day, you should limit your conversations and your interactions with them as much as possible. You don't want anyone draining you of your positive energy and lowering your vibration. Now, experimental findings show how impressive nature's healing powers can actually be. Just a few moments of green can perk up a tired brain. Even the sounds of nature may be recuperative. And when I say green, I mean like trees, the forest, the grass, right? Being in the grass, walking barefoot, that grounds you. That's what I'm talking about when I say green. This absolutely does perk up the brain because it raises your vibration. It makes you feel positive. Now, people who listen to nature sounds like crickets chirping, waves crashing, they often perform better on cognitive tests than those who listen to sounds like traffic, clutter, or arguing. And especially arguing definitely lowers your vibration. And that goes back to what I was saying about people who try to trigger you, people who try to purposely push your buttons. These people, like I said, many of them do it on purpose. They don't want you to be out here living your best life when they're having problems and issues. That's what they don't want you to do. I saw a story I saw once about, it was a story in the news about a young man. He was about 17 years old, and he broke into his friend's, supposedly best friend. He broke into this person's house in the middle of the night and murdered the entire family. And when he was caught and the police were interviewing him and they asked him why he did this, he said because they were too happy. He literally said that. He said because they were too happy. They were happy all the time. Now, why would anyone kill someone or kill a group of people just because they're happy? Well, that's because they're miserable. And the fact that someone else is so happy and everything's going well for them in their life, it bothered him so much that he wanted to murder them. And that is sad, but that is the truth of some people's hearts. If they're doing bad, they want you to do bad as well. Some people will be fine with you as long as they feel like you're on the same level, as long as they feel like you're in the same place. But as soon as you try to accelerate, you try to evolve, you try to start moving ahead and bettering yourself, some people have a problem with that because they don't want you moving past them. They want you to stay right there where you are. And some people who are like that or who think that way, those will be the people who try to talk you out of your dreams. When you say, you know, you have a goal that you're trying to achieve, when you say you have things that you want to do, or you have a dream of something that you maybe you want to start a business, they'll try to talk you out of your dreams because they absolutely want you to stay right where you are because they're comfortable with you that way. They don't want you doing anything that's going to put you above or what they feel is higher or a past where they are. Our ancestors evolved in natural settings and relied on the environment for their survival. So that's one of the reasons we have an innate drive to connect with nature. Now, there's something called the stress reduction hypothesis. Now, it insists that spending time in nature triggers a physiological response that lowers stress levels. So if you're stressed out and depressed, or you're worried about things, you're anxious, being out in nature, getting in tune with nature, becoming one with nature can actually help reduce your levels of stress. Attention restoration theory, now that holds that nature replenishes one's cognitive resources, restoring the ability to concentrate and pay attention. That's another reason why it's very important to have your children to be outside getting in tune with nature, because this helps them to be more susceptible to learning, to receiving and absorbing information, more likely to concentrate. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I would have to think that if this is the case and if this holds true, I would have to think that children who suffer from ADHD, children who are over hyper, children who have a hard time focusing and paying attention in class, it would seem that according to the restoration theory, that nature would likely help them to be able to concentrate more. We already know that they say through research that being in nature helps you to be able to pay more attention. It stimulates the brain. Now, you can do things that I told you that are absolutely free to get in tune with nature and to focus on your mental health, such as a stroll through the park or a day spent meditating quietly by a lake. And I like to do that. I love going to sit out at the lake and just meditate, just focus on my thoughts, visualization, manifesting the things that I want to change in my life. And when you want to make changes in your life or your circumstances, the first thing to do is to change your patterns of thinking, especially if you're always just caught up with worry and just always doubting yourself, being afraid to trust, feeling that you can't do things. It's always best to try to change the pattern of your thoughts, because our thoughts are energy and we manifest the things that we focus our energy on. So if you're focusing on the negative and being pessimistic, that's what you will attract to yourself, right? Now, exposure to nature has been linked to a host of benefits, such as improved attention, lower stress, better mood, reduced risk of psychiatric disorders. So that's definitely beneficial to the mental health. It even upticks in empathy and cooperation. Those things can improve. Now, most research thus far has focused on green spaces, such as parks and forests, and researchers are now even starting to study the benefits of blue spaces, places with water, or like rivers and oceans, waterfalls. That's one of my favorite things to visit in nature. I love visiting waterfalls. One of my most, refreshing things to do. Now, but nature comes in all shapes and sizes, and psychological research is still fine-tuning our understanding of its potential benefits. Being surrounded by nature can soothe the soul and relax the mind. Now, clinical therapists often encourage their patients to interact with nature with EMDR therapy. And that is something that I spoke about with the young man Desmond, who I interviewed on my channel last week, when we were talking about him going to therapy and different issues that he had that prompted him to seek therapy. EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy. Okay, it's a powerful therapeutic intervention used to address a range of mental health challenges. EMDR is particularly effective for treating individuals who have experienced trauma or other adversity in their lives, including anxiety, depression, panic attack disorders, and post-traumatic stress disorder, among other things. Okay. And some of the other things you can do is you can quiet your mind and meditate while visualizing the beauty of nature. Things such as the sun rising in the morning, the birds flying through the trees, the sunset and its reflection on a lake, the moonlit sky at night, and the stars. You can listen to soft, soothing, meditative music. Native American flute music is very common, and that's what I love to listen to. And meditative music, most of it is at tuned to 432 hertz frequency, because that gives a person a strong relaxation sense. 432 hertz frequency music ensures that the brain is tuned in to the Earth's frequency. Generally, this frequency has been proven to be a healing frequency since it reduces anxiety, it lowers the heart rate and the blood pressure. Listen to healing tones also, because that helps to stimulate your mind. Now, at the end of this video, I'm going to play some tones that help to stimulate your mind and raise your vibrational frequency. Higher frequency in the body results in better health, whereas then the obvious would be that lower frequency, right, is bad for your health. Low vibrational. That's why you don't need to surround yourself, especially on a regular basis, for long periods of time with negative people who are low vibrational. 432 hertz frequency is said to be the natural frequency of the universe, and it's said to have cosmic healing powers. Now, just by tuning our music less than a semitone below our standard 440 hertz, we can have direct access to the universe's hidden treasures. And so let me say something about this, because most of the music that you listen to on the radio, and your favorite rappers and these different singers, their music is tuned at or recorded at 440 hertz frequency. And that is like, it draws negativity, like worry, anger, just nefarious things. And that's done on purpose. That's by design. The record industry wants people's music at that particular frequency. And that started years ago. Now, people like Prince, Michael Jackson, Bob Marley, and there was someone else that I can't think of who it is right now, but I do remember that Prince, Bob Marley, and Michael Jackson, they didn't want their music at 440 hertz frequency. And they didn't want their music at that because they obviously knew that that's a low vibrational. They had their music recorded at 432 hertz. And I want you to pay attention to something, because they all died early, right? And we've all heard the so-called what some deem as conspiracy theories surrounding their deaths. So pay attention to that. Now, music is one of those magical things that has the power to stir our emotions, excuse me, to motivate us and take us to a place that words alone simply cannot manage. Mental health and physical health can both be improved simply by using music as a tool. And as the world becomes a more demanding, stressful place to live, there's never been a better time to turn to music to calm our minds, to elevate our mood, and to improve our overall well-being. That's why it's so good to listen to meditative sounds and tones and music. I like to listen to the Native American flute music, and I play it when I sleep at night. Not always is it Native American flute music, but I at least listen to different types of meditative music as I sleep. It helps me have a more restful, peaceful sleep, a more calming, soothing sleep, pleasant dreams. And when you especially are having sleep deprivation, when you're a person who may have, suffer from insomnia, or you just have irregular sleep patterns, you may not be able to get to sleep at night, or you may have trouble, just restless sleep. Try using meditative music. Try listening to that before you fall asleep and allow it to play as you sleep. And that will likely help you and help you to get a more peaceful sleep, and you wake up feeling more refreshed in the mornings. But also make sure that you're doing your affirmations on a daily. Make sure you're still doing your positive affirmations when you rise in the morning and when you lie down at night. After you pray, and remember to not only pray when you want God to give you something or you're asking God for something. As I've told you before, pray with gratitude, with an attitude of gratitude, to thank God for the things that you have. Thank yourself for the way that you're trying to make changes in your life, the way you're trying to become more self-disciplined. Give yourself a pat on the back for that, because if you're listening to this channel or any other spiritual channels, if you're doing the work, if you're saying the affirmations, if you're listening to meditative music and tones, anything that you're doing to promote mental health and healing and focusing on your well-being and your spiritual healing and well-being, then you are doing the work. So give yourself, encouragement, and give yourself a pat on the back for that, because shout out to you, because some people don't even think about their mental health and their spiritual health. Some people go to the gym and work out every day. They try to eat healthy and all those things. And that's good, because that's very important to do. But some people don't think about fine-tuning their mental health and their spiritual health. So with that all being said, I'm now going to play this video with the meditative tones at 432 hertz frequency. And as you're listening, look at the images on the screen, which these are scenes from nature. Focus on that and try to clear the clutter from your mind and try to be peaceful and tranquil. And this should raise your frequency and your vibration. Everyone, please get the likes up. Please like and share. And so now I'm going to go to the video. Okay. Now, I hope you all enjoyed that, and I hope it raised your levels of vibration. And so make sure that you're still practicing your daily affirmations and speak positivity over your children as well. You know, before they go to school, in the mornings before they leave the house, at night before they go to bed, it's very good and beneficial to speak positive affirmations to them as well. Okay? So I hope you all enjoyed this presentation. And, you know, I put that video together based on the things that I like to focus on in nature. You may have different things you like to focus on, you know, more flowers or whatever. But when you are out and about, you know, you could just be walking down the street. You know, you see the trees or whatever, the sun is shining. Take time to pay attention to nature. Don't just ignore it. Take time to pay attention. And also, make sure that you're staying in a positive frame of mind. I know we can't always be positive 24/7. I know that things worry us and stress us, and that's okay. That's normal. But just make sure you don't let those thoughts of these things consume you. Don't allow them to overwhelm you. Don't allow psyche vampires to discourage you, to talk you out of things, to talk down on you and have you feeling bad about yourself or your situation. Remember that we must never make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And when I mean that, I'm talking about how some people get so depressed that they start thinking about not wanting to be here. Those people who go out here and harm themselves, you know, they take a temporary problem and use the worst permanent solution to try and resolve it. And that's why we don't want to allow ourselves to be consumed with negativity, because that's how those things happen. You first of all start worrying and stressing about things, and then you start getting these influences from malevolent beings that start making you feel like it's never going to stop, like you're a hamster in a wheel. You're never going to get out of the cycle, and things are only going to get worse. You don't want to think like that. You want to always focus on the positive. That's why it's very important to do that and to stay away from people who drain your energy and who have you always focusing on negativity, because they are being so negative. And here's the thing too, if you have people who are so negative, try to speak positivity into them. Try to give them some words of encouragement and motivation. Try to inspire them to stop being so pessimistic. And if you find that you cannot, and that they continue to want to throw this pity party and whine and gripe, then you have to start weaning yourself off of them. You have to start, you know, limiting your time that you spend engaging them. I remember when you rise in the morning, however you start your day, how your day begins, that absolutely sets the tone for the rest of the day. So with that all being said, I hope if there was anyone out there who was thinking about getting therapy and you may have been reluctant or hesitant, I hope that this has encouraged you to go and get help that you may possibly need. And also make sure that you watch the video of the interview that I did with Desmond Works on last Friday on the original Authentic God. On the original Queen Ahmadiyyah channel. Okay. So with that all being said, I wish you all love, peace, and prosperity. Stay high vibrational. Stay positive. You're too blessed to be stressed. Remember that. Do something productive and constructive, never destructive. And until next time, I will talk to you all again.